All set? Okay, review and approval of previous meeting minutes, May 1st.
Second.
Barry,
Barry,
motion.
Nate, second.
Okay. Correspondence and public comment.
You got it. You got to vote on that.
Was that?
The vote
Oh,
on that.
yeah. We got, review and approval minutes.
You
All in
and I.
favor?
Yes.
Aye. I got you. All set, 7-0. Your correspondence and public comment. You may have some here on behalf of new business A.
Okay. There was no correspondence.
There's no correspondence, but I think you may have public comment
Right.
on A.
We can jump to new business A. We have people here for that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Comments?
I think we're getting something set up.
I was gonna see if I could get you guys GIS. possibly. You have it in front of you.
Yep.
Give it to you on the screen too.
Is it open for public comment? Or wait.
Well, you can speak on behalf as the applicant, right? You're the applicant on
Yeah.
the doc. Yeah, so you can speak when they have the, I don't know if you want to move to that business item.
We will.
Yep.
I'm just waiting for you to see if you want to get that up.
Would. Plugged in, I guess. That.
Yep.
Got it.
Anybody need to zoom in and zoom out? Good? Got it. If you need anything else.
Mike, do we have to adjust camera? Do we have to bring in video of public comment?
I mean, it might make sense to have somebody that's speaking in the frame, whether standing maybe at the corner here and addressing you guys, or sitting at the corner here, either way, because it doesn't look like I can see you guys, the people in the audience.
Right. Why don't you, actually, once you take that chair, bring it right up there and
I
join us.
just wanted to note that we were here and we don't have anything to comment, we're just here to observe.
Okay.
We don't have any comment for the record.
Okay.
But you're the applicants, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
If you guys have questions.
So I guess that's me then. Right. All right, so I think as you folks know, my name's Craig Wood. I'm the Vice President of Narrow River Preservation Association and Chair of our Land Use Subcommittee. I'm here primarily just to listen to concerns of this committee, because there's, as we all know, looking at the map, there's a parcel that parallels the river that's not even shown on the application. And this just has a tremendous amount of significance, especially for the Pollock Ave boat ramp that NRPA has been advocating for years. and it's stuck in limbo because nobody can figure out how to deal with the fact that the deed is frankly all screwed up. So it seems to me that that's a critical decision as part of this application as well, because you know, the dock leaves from this lot that, you know, is clearly independent from the Kingston Ave right-of-way, that I realize brings its own bizarre issues of a private dock going off of a public right-of-way. So I guess I'm here to listen in hopes of some direction, so at a minimum the Pollock Ave boat ramp can finally move forward after years of you know, neglect and inaction. There's you know, along with this dock, you know, there clearly have been, to my understanding, unpermitted improvements along the shoreline, and there's one or two other dock applications that are coming right behind this one. So I'm just trying to understand what position this committee is taking, and to help inform other activities along the river, because this parcel is incredibly long. I don't know off the top of my head how long it is, but it's the whole Middlebridge neighborhood.
It runs from just the street just south of, I think it's Cook, just south of the boat ramp, and it runs north, I believe, to River. Let me just make sure I get the street order correct. I'll show you guys. Yeah.
And then I think I would just make one other point that, you know, I'm not suggesting it has important ramifications for this application, but I just want to make the committee aware of it. The profile in the application shows a differential between mean low water and mean high water of 2.4 feet. That's not accurate. The difference between mean low water and mean high water in narrow river is about 1.3 feet. So something is wrong with the survey, and you know, I'm not suggesting it's a fatal flaw to the application, but I think you know, as we move forward and see more of these docks, it would be nice if this important survey information is displayed accurately. Because as you know, depth from mean low water is a very critical component of dock application.
So are you opposed to the application as presented?
Oh, I'm here to listen. You know, NRPA has taken no position on this, and you know, we're thankful that you guys got an extension, and NRPA is just interested in how you folks are dealing with a bunch of peripheral issues here. And then what I was hoping was just to bring that back to NRPA and decide whether, you know, we may decide not to comment at all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So just referencing what Craig was speaking about, where the cursor is here, this is the start at Hahn. So Hahn Avenue is a public right-of-way in the town's inventory. So after Hahn, this strip here is the strip that Craig is referencing that runs north. Here's the applicant's site here. It continues north, parallel to the river, and it terminates, looks like north of Harcourt. Yeah, that's where it terminates, right here. And then you'll see River Ave. This is also in the town's right-of-way inventory. Neighbor's driveway there. So that's a strip of land, and I'd been in the meetings with DEM, so the issue that Craig is referencing, DEM is looking to develop that, or redevelop that boat ramp, and also the parking lot, but they're running into obstacles because the way that the deed is written, and I have that in your packets, from the public access inventory about the issue with Harcourt and the adjoining streets. And it needs legal work to determine what the status is of this, but it appears to be that it was kind of deeded as like an association property, but it never made it through the full process, I guess, with the town. That's my speak, not legal speak.
How did your dock end up coming off the road?
It's been there, my great-grandmother built the house in the 40s.
And that's where the dock was?
And that's where they all were, so there are 3 off of that strip of land. And actually, all the docks in that area are off of that strip of land, but some of them, because they're directly in front of someone's property, haven't been flagged as ours was, but.
And is it like, have you connected it to the deed of your house yet, or is it sort of just something that's hanging off?
I haven't. We just bought my great uncle's house, which the dock was owned by both for a long time. And they actually did the improvements that brought it up to the land, because years ago when I was little, we would go down onto the sand and then hop up. And as the tide came up, everyone connected them to the land. So once we get through this process with you guys at CRMC, then my plan is to properly deed it to the house, because I think that they probably had the same issues when they went to go do that, because none of the 3 that are in front of properties are deeded to those homes. So I think it was an issue of surveying, and it's not attached to your property, so how do you deed it?
Right.
And from what we can tell, when CRMC was created, I believe in the mid-90s is when they came around and said these are all grandfathered
Right.
existing docks. That's when the ascent. That's what we can find our records going back to her relatives of when it was created.
And we found the same information. We tried to get a title search through the lawyer, and the same thing. It was never properly conveyed to the neighborhood association, that plot of land, so it's hard to.
From Beauregard, from the plat,
Right.
originating from Beauregard.
And just for the record, you're Bria
Yes.
and William?
Yes.
Thank you. This is your property, correct? 21. And these are the docks that you guys are talking about. And this one is yours, right? Is that correct? Correct. I think this one is the one that was on the public notice. Is that correct?
Oh, no, the one on the other side.
Oh, this one over here.
Just north of that one.
Okay. We can't talk about that because it's not in September, but.
Mike, is the town doing anything to try and reconcile all this information about the ownership of the land?
There's nothing on the town's radar currently. Certainly, as we develop the new capital improvement program with the surveying and monumenting of rights of way, eventually, this will get tackled. It's not on the agenda currently. We have some other ones that took a higher billet. We have had a number of meetings with DEM on the boat ramp and their desire to do improvements down there
That's Mitchell and Pollock.
at Mitchell and Pollock. But the same issue is down there, and they even have some additional complications. So they're also doing title work and trying to determine
That's the
ownership.
State doing that, or is town?
The state. Yeah, so here's the state ramp. So you see from Mitchell, you have this same, swath of river. Of course, a lot of it is in the water now, and is inland. And additionally, they have this, right, this paper road over here that they're contending with as well. And they had some encroachment from the neighbor here. And I think one of the neighbors, either this one or this one, I think they had some encroachment too.
But no, like, grandfathered docks complicated stuff.
No grandfather docks, but this same community strip of land, for lack of a better,
Yeah.
is what's holding up the process of redoing the ramp itself.
Is there an association?
Because there's no easement that they can find across it.
Right.
Even though
And is
it's-
there an entity that is claiming ownership of it, or is it just like, it's the neighborhood?
It's the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the problem because it's multiple streets. The residents on each street have kind of maintained the bottom. Some have had issues where people just took it over as their parking lots, and I know there are issues on other streets as well because of the ownership problem.
Mike, I thought a lot of those streets, the deed put them right into the water. It shows.
Not from this plat, not from the Bower plat, or this specific section of it. The streets to the south
Yeah.
are in the public right of way, and the streets to the north. The issue you have here is that, of course, this is GIS, so this isn't, survey accurate.
Mhm.
But, this strip of land, though it's clearly, looks like it's eroded from how it was designated, some of it is still on the land, so the town right of way, Kingston Ave, would end, in theory, at that
Mhm.
yellow line right there, which is a hop into the water probably. You could probably broad jump over that at this point.
Mhm.
I mean, the distance. Alright.
There's not an entity as a private owner. It's like you said, it was owner unknown, and so it's like whether someone gets together and eminent domains it or something.
That's the best that our
Right.
legal findings could come up with, that the intent was an association, but it was never deeded to those in the plat. Those happened as a plat.
We had gone to the town for doing repairs on the seawall, which Craig mentioned, and was approved locally. We had gone to the town originally, and when they told us it wasn't their land and we had to do
Yeah.
titles, so we ended up doing the repairs because it was dangerous at the end of the road. And that's when the dock issue.
Oh, I'm sorry, did you say that the hardscape has a CRMC set?
Correct, yes,
Thank
it's
you.
just,
So it's, I don't know, I guess mine's not very straight, sorry.
The other thing too, Mike, is that these right of ways, to your point earlier, the lines not being, installed, plotted by a professional land surveyor.
Yeah.
I don't know, that dimension is definitely gonna vary, especially when you see the roadway, quote unquote, in people's yards, kind of offset from the actual pavement.
I mean, that's
Just
just
'cause
20 feet, 21 feet, roughly.
Well, Mike, if we put aside the issue of that strip, reading the write-up on public notice, it's not clear to me what's original, what's changing, what has changed. The tense of the wording in there seems to change as you go forward. So what was existing is existing. I'm a little confused with this. If we could focus just on that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you look at the plans, I mean, it's tough to tell on the plans what the plans look like. It's almost the same footprint as the grandfather. And I guess there's no variances, I mean, if this was without that piece of land, if this came across the commission,
Yeah.
probably we wouldn't have any objections.
Yeah.
But I think you have to consider with the grandfather, if you're not going to maintain the dock and you're not going to go through the right process to maintain the dock, which is, I'm looking at this as almost a maintenance because it's the same footprint, you're going to let it fall into disrepair, and then are they liable for cleaning that up and taking care of it as it falls into disrepair? So like, how do you that's a really challenging question to,
Yeah.
you know, because if you say, no, you can't do this,
Right.
then the dock falls down in the water and
Mhm.
they shouldn't have to clean it up either
Yeah.
because they're trying to.
My feeling is we leave the piece of property
Yeah,
as
I-
SEP,
Yeah.
and we look at what they're doing and saying, does it support as a maintenance ascent? And say, great, keep it from falling down, keep it in repair.
Yep.
So reading all this 3x8, 440, over here it's something by 20, but when you look on that, what is there, what's changing?
If you look at the one that's in front of Barry, that's what the GIS department did on the overlay. That'll give you,
That one?
that one will give you, again, it's GIS, but that'll give you a broad sense of the change,
Yeah.
as it were.
You know,
That's the full color picture. Yeah, that one, yeah. So that shows she's got a key down in the bottom where she's telling you what each one is. I gave my copies of it, Mary, so I can keep on looking at it.
okay, there's 3 docks on this, right?
Yeah, the one with the yellow line is the dock replacement. I mean, you can see it on the black and white one too. The dotted line
And
says
what-
existing dock.
I see the yellow, is that the plan or is that the original?
The yellow is the plan, I believe.
Okay, where's the
Because the
original?
original is under it, correct?
Yeah.
Post on it?
It's under it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, can you see it?
It's better to see this. You can see
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, forgetting the land issue, which is not up to us, I see it's a great idea to take care of it. Leave it alone.
I agree. I'd rather have this done than have it look like the dock just to the south
For
of it.
the next one.
I mean, I agree. The one place the lot stuff comes in, I agree with that this maintain the dock and I have no objections to this. A dock that does this and goes across a property extension line, usually there's another property to the south of it, but because of that strip, it doesn't need a variance to cross over to whatever would be a water's in front of another property. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yeah.
when we do docks, when it goes over like outside of its,
Yeah.
but it's not really coming out of the road's property anyways. So
Right.
I think
Well, it's
we-
already existing too. I think
Yeah.
if it was a new build going into,
Yeah, yeah.
littoral property, lines on.
It seems like CRMC has kept themselves out of the
Smart.
strip of land issue.
Yeah.
So,
And Narrow River's thoughts were, well, should we not have that plot on the application? It's kind of odd. It is odd to have that plot left off of the official CRMC application when it is an important plot of land for other things. So maybe it's
but the activity on that strip doesn't change.
correct. Yeah. Well, for all practical purposes, they should repair the dock.
Yeah.
We need to think about what this guy's saying, think about the implications of how we treat. We can't pretend this is a private lot when we want it to be, and not when you don't. Because that's a tough spot to be.
Mhm.
So I don't know, like, we can move this out of the way, and I think we should think about how to poke the bear on this lot
I
and
don't know
help
if we
the.
can.
Well, one is around, one of our charges of our committee is to deal with the rights of way, and we've designated rights of way that don't go to water.
Mhm.
So we do have some need to sort that out eventually. And the boat ramp's a really good example. So can we move like past this one? I don't think it's a big enough issue that it's not on this
Yeah.
application, but I don't want that to then come back, something like that to come back when someone complains about the boat ramp and goes, well, no, there's a private piece of land now. Well, there wasn't before.
Yeah, but how is it being the state level going to be taking care of the issue, not us?
I would argue the
Town
state
problem.
has dropped the ball. They're
Well-
not doing anything.
Well,
So
the
unless
town-
South Kingstown steps up to the plate, the Pollock Ave improvements are never gonna happen. So that's why
Well,
I'm here.
There's no stepping up for us because we are advisory to the town council.
Yeah, well, I'm just.
Okay, and we have no leverage over CMC or the state, other than to tell them, straighten it out.
Yeah, well, they've, respectfully,
Whether they have or
everybody
not.
is taking the same attitude, and it's just, the state is done with their deed research. So unless you guys can urge the town of South Kingstown government to look into it further, the Pollock boat ramp is never gonna happen. And it's such an important resource to the river, and that's why I'm here to advocate for it.
And Mike, I'm not opposed to that. I mean, I think that can be done under, you mentioned the capital improvement plan, the survey and monumenting. I mean, where does this fall in the prioritization of that, like, in terms of priorities? Because I know we did Charlestown Beach Road and, you know, there are other areas. Can we revisit that and look at, you know, helping prioritize this? Because it's obviously, you know, a few challenging areas along the river.
Yeah, I mean, that's your folks' purview to determine. So, you know, when we know the funding level, we could seek.
I think that gets to what
you
Dave
know,
was saying
bids
around, you know, we don't want to lose
do
sight
the
of
title
that.
work. That would be the title research for that plat, and see what that comes up with. I mean, that's referenced in the harbor management plan under the public access of kind of steps for that area of what needs to be done.
Who did that deep dive on this problem in the last hour?
I don't know the answer to that. Sorry.
Because what we're going to do is we're going to direct some lawyer to run down the same hole,
Mhm.
pay the same money, and come to the same spot.
Well, I'm curious what, you mentioned DEM had done deed research on it.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how far they took it. I mean, if it can't go any further than what DEM has done either, there's not much that the town of South Kingstown can do.
I think what you're running into with DEM is kind of what Craig's alluding to is it's not low hanging fruit, right? So they said, oh yeah, we need to redo this ramp. Then they came down there, it got a little bit muddy. They said, well, we need to do X, Y, Z, but X, Y, Z hasn't been done. And then they've said, well, there's not funding currently to do state boat ramps because we've expended all the funds from the account. So I think to Craig's point, every fall I ping them and revisit this for that property to say, hey, any new developments? And every year it's the same response. We don't know who owns that strip of land. We need to work that out before we can move forward. I think there's field level people that want to move it, but I don't know that higher up it has the same push.
Do the neighbors and or Narrow River and or the town have, and we don't, this committee's not going to get involved in it, but do they have like ideas on how to sort this out, or is it just sort of
At that last meeting, they talked about placing advertisements in the paper to try and find the heirs.
Okay.
I don't know if that occurred.
Norman Beauregard, when he died, he developed all of this. He did Pettaquamscut, he did Metaphor. He owned that huge Indian Lake, and when he died, he had no heirs. He donated all his holdings to a lot of nonprofits, so that it's not as if there's kids hanging around saying we can sort this thing out.
Yeah, so maybe that's the issue, right? But they were talking about taking out ads in the Boston Globe and New York Times, and I don't know if that happened, but that was the last conversation that we had talked about.
Like Roger Beechin has done some recent work on this.
I'm not familiar with that.
What was the
He was
in-state government?
attorney general years ago.
Yeah, so he lives right in the neighborhood. I'll give you his contact information.
I'll make a motion to write from the committee no objection to this application as presented to fix the grandfather dock.
Second.
Nate, and Sam on a second.
Second on
Said,
that? Same.
Nate was the motion and Sam's the second. So no objection as presented.
And any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
No?
I think as a aside to that, why don't we just send a letter to the town council asking them to involve themselves in the reconciliation of this mystery land? That's about all we can do with them.
Yeah, I support that fully.
If I may, maybe refer to the solicitor's office to provide information rather than just a broad abstract. Maybe we could get a little better information to the council
Yeah.
than I can provide.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. We'll, I guess, why don't we address it as, we'll authorize you to put that
Direct
together
staff
to
to-
Mike Rosillo.
To
present
speak
to
with
the town
council
council.
and inform the town council about the issues.
Right.
Yeah, and there's probably, as he said, Roger Beejan's an attorney, right?
Well, I think he's a financial planner, in all honesty.
All right, maybe I'm wrong, but he's
But-
probably
oh,
got.
that's insane.
Roger, now that, yes, I think I know what you're talking about, yes. Okay.
So he's probably got a legal file that would be a lot of help, save a lot of legwork.
I don't think I knew his last name, but now that you say that,
I'll send you his
I connected
contact
the
information when I
dots.
get home.
Yeah, perfect.
Well, thank you, by the way.
All set on this item?
Yeah.
Great.
All set?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for coming in, thanks for
Thank
the
you very
comments.
Have a good night, folks. You're free to stick around if you'd like for the rest of the agenda.
It's really exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
You too.
It's funny, when the Narragansett Pier Railroad went defunct for a long time, they had this strip of land going through Wakefield, going to Narragansett, and they ran into the same thing. People were trying to figure it out. This was before they envisioned a bike path. So like in Narragansett, certain houses just literally took a strip of land, very similar to this, and to unwind it all was.
Isn't there a recent lawsuit about that?
Yeah. I think Tony Goriello purchased the assets of it, and it was it's a similar situation. And, I think there's ways to do it, but there's not, it costs money, and it's like, why bother until you run into issues like this?
Boat ramp stalls.
But you would think the state would, with their intention to do this, big improvement, would be the ones that would, really, lead the charge on this.
And you would think too, come on, if the state put it in originally, the problem was there. Fix it.
You would think that they would have had some type of, although when it was put in, when Mr. Beauregard was alive still, and they just had a handshake. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, he
and
was
do it.
alive, and his wife Jessie was the first female, DEM game.
Oh, interesting.
She
Oh,
worked.
okay.
She
She
was
worked for
like,
the state,
yeah, she
yeah.
worked for the state. So
Okay.
they did things very differently in the '60s and
Right.
'70s.
But to claim they can't fix it because the title is weird,
I mean, why can't it just be grandfathered like
Right.
this? Like,
the state evidently doesn't want to bother with it.
Well, it costs money, and they have
Yeah.
higher
And
priorities.
they've
right?
got an excuse that there's a cloud around it.
This is also like a challenging one because the ramp has outgrown the use and they have nowhere to expand. So it's gonna take some creative engineering to come up with the best plan.
that whole parking lot should just be.
Horrible, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other issue is when we met, because I prompted them a number of years ago just to see where this was on their radar. I'm like, hey, this place gets an enormous amount of pressure. Is this even on your radar? Because the ramp's literally falling apart. And so then we started having meetings and conversations. Chicken or the egg, I don't know if that was the start of it or, that just got everybody in the same room. But they also brought in Save the Bay and other organizations like that, and the issue of stormwater runoff is a high priority. And now if you have whatever, vegetation or rain gardens or what, that's gonna eat into the parking lot further, and it's higher than the properties behind it, so those properties don't drain properly. It's a morass, and somebody's gotta wrap their arms around it and do something with it. I don't know if that's happening.
But it's not us. So
It's definitely not us. It's definitely not us.
Okay. Beyond that, huh? How about the boat ramp? We kicked that horse plenty.
We're almost able to take that off.
Really?
Back to old business. Grand Park Boat Ramp. So, Gooseberry Dock Building showed up this week, corresponding with the beautiful weather, to replace the floats on the dock, which seems to have gone on with, mostly without a hiccup, because you can still use the ramp. So we're just down there today. He put the proper flotation under the dock. It's already floating much better. They were working on taking the all the bags of concrete out of the dock. So that should be wrapped up, if it's not today, shortly. And then they'll work on removing the stone that's in the water. We should have within the next week or two, I would imagine, the site meeting with the contractor that the bid was awarded to for the handrail. So hopefully that'll be done, fabricated and done in short order. And then maybe by the winter time, we won't look at the boat ramp status report anymore.
That'd be nice.
When we're
Are we
excited.
gonna go 25 years on the handrail?
No, the money's already been allocated. The bid's already been awarded. We just have to have the fabricator who's working for the contractor meet everybody on site to confirm everything, and then they'll get to work on actually building it.
Okay.
We have to do the next time we decide to go on an ordinance adventure, we have to do the park your dinghy on the other side.
Yes. So Sam did send me stuff.
Something we haven't
On
changed
that.
is allowing dinghy tie-ups, because right now it's not allowed.
Oh,
That's a future like for us to do in the winter or something.
Yeah, we could keep your eyes on what I sent Mike. I just pulled like a bunch of ordinances around transient moorings.
Oh, yeah.
And stuff like that, and just wanted to have to look at, but, yeah, I wanted to chat with you.
Yeah, I figured that's
Excited about that.
Mike, anything to say about C?
Did you skip B?
No, management plan update, that's just one that's there forever.
I have an update for you.
On that one?
I have an update that there is no update. So Brian Wagner contacted DEM to ask them what the status of our water quality application was, and the reply was, it's best if I read it to you, you'll get the full flavor. Sorry I haven't gotten back to you. Just had Rebecca resend me our draft response letter for finalization. We've been spending the last 4+ months switching over our entire permit application process to a paperless system, and it hasn't been a clean process, especially with the applications that were already in. Rebecca is out today with a family emergency, but I'll be working to finalize your letter today. I believe the letter will satisfy your concerns and provide a map to finalizing the harbor management plan for this cycle. I've not seen a letter.
Okay.
That's your status update.
I'm not gonna read into that map until we see it.
Okay, well, good. Thank you for that enlightenment.
C, so we had a public hearing with your board. Feel free to look back at the last town council meeting. Thanks to Nate for handling a large bulk of that. And the council was receptive to the ordinance with a few tweaks. We did not get a fee schedule out of them yet. So I guess, I don't know if they'll adopt that as their final budget. But we did kind of get a idea, and the solicitor's going to rework some of the language. But the basic gist was, correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe you want to address, the basic gist was that it would be residents first, and then if there were available spaces, non-residents after that. And that it would go to, there would be initially offered to mooring holders on the onset, but then after that, correct?
I had some confusion whether they were trying to add the residency thing below mooring holders, like always, or if they were saying, like, I was confused as to them trying to jam in the resident requirement on top of this.
Yeah.
And then there was the mooring holder preference, which the town council seemed to interpret as, or potentially it could be, just at the initial, or as it's written, it says they will jump to the top of the list whenever they apply. Like 3 years from now, if you have mooring, you apply, you would be at the top of that list.
Yeah.
So I had some confusion as to how the residency requirement the town council wanted to add would play with all of that. And I advocated to not not do it, but they wanted to add it in there. So I guess it's wait and see. I think it's also how would, I don't know, is there an opportunity for us to tell them how we would suggest it?
That was it.
That was
So
it.
the solicitor was going to give you that, I think it was like a tiered, like I, and Joe was there also, and Mike, I don't know if you guys have anything to add.
Well, there was quite a bit of circling the drain on the idea that the first refusal should be to the mooring holders.
Yeah.
And so that seemed to stick. And subordinate to that was going to be residents and taxpayers.
Yeah.
At equal priority. At the latter part of that, I had talked to Mike and asked him to bring up the idea that if you're going to give a priority to the mooring holders, you can't take it away when mooring holder changes. And say, okay, you can have the mooring that the guy before you had, but you can't have his slip in the.
As it stands now, you have to get on the list and just be the top of the
Right.
list.
And, you know, it makes no sense to go ahead and say, if you've got a mooring, you get first shot at having a slip in the rack. To take it away when the mooring changes hands defeats the whole purpose of the first part of the meeting. Where nobody can swim, the next guy has to swim to the mooring. So anyway, I really advocated for a slip in the rack goes with your mooring permanently. So Mike and I talked about it. I think he was gonna work it out without language getting into the.
It is crazy that how many moorings this town has and how little public space there is to tie up a tender.
Right.
There's zero public space.
None.
There's zero
It's
public
crazy.
space.
That's why all this pile of
Yep.
junk is on the shoreline.
Yep.
But anyway,
So your interpretation was, they sort of kept the private, Mike Ursillo is gonna have it sort of say mooring holders, then residents, then anybody else.
residents and taxpayers.
Yeah, and so if you got a waiting list of 20 people and a new mooring holder comes up, they apply for a dinghy spot, they get the top of the list. Then a resident who doesn't have a mooring comes in, they'll come in second, and then the third person would be the first one on the list that wasn't those two. Okay, that's how I interpreted it, and that's like going forever, not just for the initial
Right.
slug. And with your point about it's kind of illogical when the mooring switches over being true.
And on the fee side, I sensed because of, I forget who the woman is that.
Yeah, Deb.
Yeah, the one guy to the right of her looking at it, he wanted to
Run the
stick
price
it
up.
to the
Run the price up.
non-residents.
Yeah.
She wanted the other way, and it really shouldn't be the other way, because the point that this isn't a high dollar activity.
Yep.
And so don't be sticking it to people who you might think well, they're out of town now, so we can.
Yeah, having a higher rate for out of town,
Right.
it's just like Narragansett Beach. Like,
Yeah.
it's so stupid.
And the side note on that, you know, for years I've been on that ramp, 25 years, and in the summer I'll get residents who are long-term residents, and they're whining because there's a New Jersey, a New York, Connecticut license plate. What are you doing here? Well, you know, these guys have got multi-million-dollar houses in Green Hill, and they're paying a ton of taxes with no kids in the school system. They're only here about 6 weeks a year, and you're depriving them to launch their stupid little boat. You know what I mean? It was ridiculous.
Yeah. So hopefully we can ask for a fee schedule that's idea, and I don't know if there's room for that, like one price low for everybody.
Yeah, I hope they leave it alone. And it seemed like most of the people up there, when I was looking at them, seemed like, yeah, just leave it alone. 25. You know, if anything, 37. Okay, great. You know? But I would like to take the position that you don't jack it up just because you think someone might have it.
Do we ask the town council for the fee from our committee now? Is that helpful to you at all, or do you just?
No,
ask
they
them?
should pass that as part of their budget process.
When does that happen?
Now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who carries that over into the fee schedule?
They vote on a fee schedule every year.
But who carries it from what we turned in the ordinance into the fee scheduling?
The council.
Okay, so they have to take what we just proposed and take that element and put it into the, okay. staff does that? He gives it to them?
It may come out of the clerk's office, or they give them like a blueprint of
Yeah.
all the fees.
I'm just curious to who touches it, as it
Yeah.
moves from the ordinance into the fee schedule.
Yeah, so we didn't put fees into the ordinance.
Right.
Because any change down the road would then have to go to a public hearing to
Yeah.
change the ordinance.
Right.
Whereas every year they can adopt a fee schedule, just like the moorings.
Right, but we
Right now-
identified a number.
Correct. Yeah,
Right.
they were kind of that in that round.
Right. Should we send anything to the town council
I
reaffirming?
don't think it's necessary. I think they got a pretty good earful that night.
And the ordinance passed.
Correct.
So we can work on the implementation.
So, yeah, so I just got, I had to move some money around, so I had to wait for that budget transfer, but I'm gonna order the stickers now. So as soon as I can order them, that budget transfer goes through, it should go through by tomorrow, then I'll order the stickers and we'll have them. We can do the stickers this year, which is what the council wanted done, and you folks wanted done. And then I've been in conversations, actually, per the town council's request, with the CTE carpentry program at the high school. And they're interested in taking on the project. So we'll see what that looks like and how that would work, if the town can do that. And if they can, that's great, it's a great partnership. They can probably get started in the fall. We'll work on any permitting that needs to be done, site prep, things like that.
I had a neighbor ask, not a mooring holder, say, how will I know how to get a permit? And I said, I'm not sure yet, but the harbor master
We'll make
will
sure that, there's signage down there and
Yeah.
it's on social media or whatever. Yeah, we're not gonna, and it won't be, we'll have to have like an open enrollment where it's like, apply by such and such date. There'll be a lottery for X amount of spaces.
Yeah.
And we'll do it that way, and then it'll go wait list after that,
Cool.
So,
Great.
because otherwise, the guy that has a jump on it, it's gonna, like, I've already had people apply for mooring saying they don't want a mooring, they want a kayak rack. We don't even have a kayak rack, so it's just sitting there.
Sounds like Admiral Letty.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Okay. Which one is D? We're into D.
I did not, I apologize, Sam, I did not print
Oh, that's
that
fine.
out because it was already.
Yeah, it was after
I
you sent
wasn't
the
in the
agenda.
office, so,
Yep.
if you want, I can print it right here and you guys can look at it if you want to talk about it tonight. Or you can read through it. But I mean, if I hit print 7 and walk out the door, I can bring it back into you. If you guys
Highlights,
want
like
to.
highlights.
You'd like to see it? Is that what you said?
No, highlights.
Highlights. You want me to read it to you?
Highlights.
Story hour?
I mean, we can, if you want, we can put it on the August agenda too. It's just a summary of the ordinances for transient moorings
Right.
from each town in Rhode Island,
Yeah.
so we can start to work on that.
Yeah.
given, So, but it's all pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
It lays out,
I thought Mike makes such a good summarizer.
Yeah.
Give us a synopsis.
Synopsis.
Spark notes.
Okay. Here's your synopsis. Newport, 40 transient rental moorings in the harbor. Moorings are allocated first come, first serve, $1 per foot per night, plus a $5 fee, $45 minimum charge. Voters hail the harbor master on 16 to inquire.
Free appetizer, 210.
North Kingstown, 4 transient moorings, just inside the southern breakwater, first come, first serve, $35 a night, 3-night maximum stay, maximum vessel length 40 feet. Middletown, transient moorings are at 3rd Beach. Boaters can reserve through Dockwah. Mooring field accommodates boats to 60 feet. Rafting's permitted. Anchoring is allowed upon approval from the harbor master. There's Shoreham, New Harbor. Well, you give me a Transient mooring, town rentals are available Memorial Day to Columbus Day, first come, first serve. No reservations, contact the harbor master on VHF. They're lime green with black numbers, hold up to 45 feet. Bright orange is 46 to 55. At the harbor master's discretion, maximum of 2 boats may raft on a single mooring. They have a public dinghy dock for dinghies less than 12 feet. No overnight dockage. Anything left for 24 hours is removed and impounded with a $100 fine. It's all registration stuff. So, yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Coastal road and public right of way to the water survey and land limitations, Western Beach Road survey status.
So just on the last one,
Yep.
you guys are gonna talk about it in August or whenever.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
okay.
That makes sense, right?
Mhm.
And whatever you folks want.
So
Why don't we, do that with the
Oh,
date?
I'm sorry, we don't meet in August.
I thought we
We
would
meet July 3rd. We need to talk about that before the end of the week too.
You need an ordinance change for transient moorings and the dinghy docks.
Yeah, I think we should do them together.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the next thing you wanna do, yeah. I mean, we have lots of things that need ordinance addressing,
Yeah.
ordinance change addressing, but if that's what you folks have talked about doing next.
Should we talk about the next meeting? Or talk about what we want to? I thought we canceled July usually because it falls right around.
When we talked about that, when we did the annual calendar, you folks wanted to stick with no meeting in August, no meeting in December, because we always butt up against New Year's Day and 4th of July with the July and January meeting. But you don't meet in August and December. What happens a lot of the time is we don't have a quorum in July, so we have to cancel the meeting because folks are out of town. The only time we have it on a different week is when the 4th falls on a Thursday. I think last year that happened, so we did it the subsequent week. But this year, the Thursday is the 3rd. So nobody's on Block Island.
I'm not
4th of
gonna-
July.
I'm not gonna be here.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be.
I'm not gonna be here.
Can we just meet in August?
Right.
Or can we do the second week of July? Or can we push it a week? Is that a thing?
I don't think so, unless there's a reason to meet. I'd have to look into that. You know, the reason why we did it last year was because it was the 4th.
Yeah.
Do you have the latest, we had a working document of ordinance changes, and I remember extracting just this, Lake Ave boat ramp thing, boat rack thing. Do you have the latest version of like all the changes we were talking about, that was like edited up?
Yeah, I have to pay for it. I probably have.
So we gotta
I
find
do.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should look at that on the next agenda.
So why don't we? Say, this is July.
Do work session meetings to be public and all that sort of thing?
We have a dock application that's for July too, right? That one that's coming in.
Yeah, so there was that other public notice that just got posted by CRMC for a dock in that same cluster that didn't meet the deadline to be on this agenda. So, I'll have to request, it just came out, I think, today.
Is that proposing any major changes or just clean it up?
We can't talk about it because it's not on the
Oh.
agenda, but he is right, there is another dock application that you're gonna have to review. The date is, I'm gonna ask for an extension because it's, 30 days is July 3rd. So I'm gonna have to get an extension anyway for that one. Because you guys meet on July 3rd. That was posted on Wednesday, So that didn't meet the 48-hour notice.
Okay. So we're gonna stick with July 3rd.
That's your
We know-
meeting.
We know a lot of people won't
That's your
be-
meeting. If you don't have a quorum, we'll have to cancel it.
Right. We already kinda know there's not a quorum.
I don't know that, but we'll advertise ahead of time and folks can let us know if
Okay.
they'll be in attending or not.
You got it. Okay, how about going to Coastal Road and Public right away?
So I just actually got a bunch of, stuff from the GIS department where they were and spent some time in the fall, where we cross-referenced the old plats with the revised plats, trying to get every last bit of institutional knowledge out of Carol before she retires and leaves this summer, because she actually worked on a lot of that plat work back in the day. So I have that information. I think we're pretty close to being able to advertise that for bid. So I'll work with the town engineers to make sure, because we're doing the road and that's their department. So just want to make sure we'll coordinate with them and get everything out. Interestingly, in this work, what are the names of the 3 CRMC rights of way down there? Dawn, Status. I know where those are. They're in that old plat stuff from like the 20s. So we can actually identify where they fall in between the other properties on the plat. So, yeah.
Mike, by the way, Barry's here on the 20th of the month.
Speaking of institutional knowledge,
Yes.
do you want to invite him to the July 3rd meeting?
Why not?
Can I deputize him?
So that's what I got on that.
Okay.
So moving forward, I promise you, it's going forward. Due diligence has been done.
Okay.
Is that same sort of asking for this institutional knowledge transfer helpful in the strip of land case, or is that all?
No, I've tried that. I've already tried that route, yeah.
The
It's-
Water Street
The
is fine.
town on the Beauregard strip of land is like,
Yeah.
nobody knows. Nobody knows. Needs attorneys.
Okay. How about the parking lot?
Parks is struggling with manpower right now. I think at last check they might have been down to 4 employees. So any special projects is not happening right now. So Rex and I did go down there and strike the lines. But if you're interested to see a cluster, Monday night was interesting down there. And it's gonna take visual barricades and signage and enforcement to fix that. I mean, they were parked sideways on the entrance lane into the stone along the fence, so they couldn't get into the parking lot. They were double parked on the exit lane getting out. Fortunately, nobody was in there with a trailer that night, or that afternoon. It was like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And quadruple parked in the trailer lane, in the middle, in the little triangle where where in theory you shouldn't park. It's just chaos.
And that's all 210 vehicles?
100% 210.
So they have valet?
No. I'm sure there was some marina, but there wasn't anything going on at the sailing center. And 210, I think, might advertise on Monday night live music or
Or
something
yeah,
like
like
that.
Bucket Shuck or something?
No, it's.
I think it's a live music thing or
It's
something.
jammed, yeah.
Yeah, so it is what it is. We have limited space, and when we can get some resources allocated, either financially or with employee time, we'll do what was proposed and try and provide provide some organization to the chaos. I don't know if it'll happen during the summer or not. I'll try and keep the lines we painted fresh as best as I can.
Enforcing like trailer parking organizations can't be high on SKPD's like list.
Well,
to
the
do.
problem is even if it was, we don't have an ordinance that says that trailer parking is only allowed beyond this
place,
point.
so they,
So we need to designate what that looks like and then have the ordinance crafted for the police department to fund that. Or to enforce that rather.
Marina Park, town farm, master plan.
Since that's a hot topic, you just, we'll leave it on there. It's in the capital, so we'll be up in the capital time here in another couple months. So here's hoping we can get some dollars allocated to it.
Okay.
We'll continue to advocate for that. I think town council, they seem to be supportive of your folks' ideas, so I think it's probably a good idea just to keep it kind of simmering on the back burner there, so that everybody's thinking of it.
Harbor master report.
I don't have anything out of the ordinary. I'm trying to think. We talked about the wash station, the hydrilla treatment, mooring renewal periods closed, boats are running. We did have a conversation about the Coast Guard's plan to remove 350 buoys at the last town council meeting. The council was interested in hearing about that. And we posted on the town's social media channels, and I think they did a news flash on the website too, encouraging people to look at it, and if they had feedback to email to the email address that the Coast Guard provided.
Okay. Great. And everybody's favorite, next meeting and adjournment.
Next meeting is July 3rd.
Connor's good for an adjournment though.
Motion to adjourn.
I can't imagine anybody will second that.
Second.
All in favor? All right.